Hey, Gorge. You're so sexy, Gorge. You want to put your body all over me and make me go, oh, yeah. What if I put you on a cracker and spread you like butter? Oh, you're so sexy. It seems like for most people, what sexy is defined by a person's exterior. Their cheekbones, their buttocks, their pecs, their smile. We rate people as being attractive based on the firmness of their skin, or their jawline, or their teeth. But why is this? Does a pretty exterior actually make somebody attractive? Isn't the deeper person within, the intelligence, their character, their sense of humor, their humanity, isn't that what really makes somebody beautiful? See, I grew up being told I was unattractive. When I came out in my mid-20s and started dating, I was shocked to learn that some people found me desirable. I can remember being on the swim team as a kid and having people regularly come up to me and saying, "What's wrong with you? Why do you look that way? Why do you have a hole in your chest? Put a shirt on, we don't want to see that." See, I have a skeletal condition called pectus excavatum where my rib cage bows inwards. So growing up, me in a neutral stance projected an image of cowardness, fear, pulling back, shrinking, lacking confidence. You know, the opposite of the things like a big, broad, open chest conveys. Also growing up, my mother would have my father follow me into bathrooms to make sure that I wasn't throwing up. She was concerned that I was bulimic. I remember a particularly nasty family member who would call me the albino anorexic, just because I was so thin and pasty. And it didn't matter how much I ate, I could never put weight on. My parents got me a trainer when I was 14, and it really didn't make a difference. I can remember being in high school gym class and wondering why, when other guys flexed a bicep, their muscle would pop, and I would do it and nothing would happen. I just scroll back through all my YouTube videos and go back not that many years and you'll see that I look quite different. When I began my YouTube channel in 2020, I weighed about 60 pounds lighter than I do now. But am I fundamentally better as a person? Am I now mentally, emotionally, characterally so much more attractive as an individual? I don't think so, not really. I mean, yes, hopefully I've evolved, hopefully I've grown and changed and developed as a human being. But I'm not a radically different personality. I still very much care about the same things, like the same things, fear the same things. My personality has leveled up, but it's still consistent. So why do people treat me differently now? Why is my experience of the world so changed? Nowadays, people message me all the time asking if my body is for rent, or can they do things to it, or they just come up and grab my body without permission. I am no different as a human being, but my experience of life has changed drastically. And this is the issue. We laud people for having beautiful exteriors, but seldom do we appreciate the beauty that is within. We are so entranced by what we see with our gaze, we forget to feel with our hearts and sense somebody through that heart sight. But the truth is, a beautiful exterior does not make somebody a good person. It doesn't even necessarily make them a good lay. I had an acquaintance who once said to me, and it's stuck with me ever since, I've had a lot of mediocre sex with some amazing looking people and some amazing sex with very mediocre looking people. Why do we value the external over the internal? Because it's easier to see? I don't think so. Just spend a few minutes sitting with someone and you can feel their vibe, you can feel their energy, their intent, their character. If you stop just looking with your eyes and start to feel with your heart. There are models who have toxic energy. There are playground scapegoats who have amazing energy. Why are we so distracted? And why do we place such value on others for their appearances? And yes, I can hear the argument that if someone spent years in the gym cultivating an athletic physique and really developing their body, that's something to be proud of. That took a lot of hard work. And I'm not going to disagree. A beautifully cultivated body is something lovely to look at. But let's be honest, a gigantic part of that is also genetic luck. I spent nearly 2 decades in the gym working my ass off, working with trainers and dietitians, and basically had nothing to show for it. It didn't matter how much effort I put in, nothing really changed. Until, you know what? TRT. If I didn't get on testosterone a few years ago, I would still have the same wayfish frame that I did through all of my 20s and the first half of my 30s. Does that somehow make me better of a person because I now hormonally supplement to have a physique that I would not be able to achieve naturally? I don't think so. In fact, I would argue it actually makes me less attractive of a person. It makes me more insecure, more conforming to societal demands. I'm not living the full expression of my body as it wanted to be. But society applauds it. People tell me I'm hotter, I'm more attractive because of it. Society puts a premium on appearances. rare is the person who hasn't undergone some type of cosmetic alterations to become more societally attractive. How many of you had braces when you were a kid? I know I did. Without them, I'd have a gap-toothed smile right now. In college, I had a rhinoplasty because my nose didn't conform to societal standards of beauty. Would I make that same decision now? I don't know. Probably not, but who can say? How many of you have had Botox or fillers or get your hair cut a certain way because it's more attractive or color it? We all do it to some level. And why? Because society treats us better. When we play the game, when we do the things that other people find appealing, we get rewarded. But are we better people for it? I don't necessarily think so. And I get the irony of me saying all this as a social media influencer who makes his living off of people gazing at him on the internet. After all, that is why you clicked, isn't it? You saw an image and said, oh, I want to see more. Or maybe you think I'm more intelligent or perceptive because of the way I look? Because you find me at least in some way mildly attractive? That is a common thing. It's called beauty bias. We read people as being more intelligent, more competent, more capable, more experienced if we find them attractive. That's how we ended up with beautiful JFK as our president. Would you have clicked? Would you be listening if you didn't find me at least in some small way appealing? I mean, these are honest questions I'm asking. When I put a shirt on, few people engage. When I take my shirt off, many more people click. When I take my pants off, it's a tidal wave of engagement. But what is it like to grow up being told that you are ugly? It's a common thing people face. Perhaps you did. I can remember in 7th grade being asked to bring in 2 photos to class. One was a photo that we were proud of, and one was a photo that we were embarrassed by. Earnest, naive me brought in a photo of me on the swim team for my photo I was proud of, because I was really good at the backstroke. I proudly put it up on the screen, and immediately the whole class burst into laughter. Someone shouted out, "Is that your embarrassing photo?" Do you know how that felt? And then, stupid me, I put my actual embarrassing photo up, which was me in underwear pulling up my mother's stockings all the way up to my chin. And the entire room guffawed. Oh, poor naive me, showing up so earnestly. Like, really, this should have been the biggest clue that I was neurodivergent, because a neurotypical person would bring a photo that was only very mildly embarrassing or not embarrassing at all and acting as if it were. But me thinking I should be earnest, I should show my real fears and flaws, I brought that one. So what happened to me because of all this? For the next many years, I refused to take my shirt off. If I tried to take my shirt off in front of others, I would start shaking uncontrollably with full body tremors. I remember being 22 years old and having to go on an audition where they asked us to disrobe, and I had an actual panic attack because of it. It wasn't until my mid-20s that I could start to take my clothes off and feel brave, because I consciously wanted to break through that shame and that bias against believing my body was something disgusting, something that needed to be hidden. Because all my life I had been told my body was gross. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see you. That was the lesson I learned. But to be honest, I don't necessarily think it's all that much better to be on the opposite end of the spectrum, to be somebody who everybody tells is gorgeous from a very young age. I mean, can you imagine being a young person, maybe not even yet a teenager, and people are constantly sexualizing you? What must it be like to grow up knowing that every person you meet wants to use you in some way? How do you survive that? How do you not end up turning into a monster? And we've met a lot of people who've been really fucked up from that treatment their whole life. And on the other hand, we see people spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and look that way and still being equally miserable. Why is there such a focus on exteriors? Why do we think a 22-year-old with amazing abs is deserving of 14 million followers and huge brand deals? Do they really have anything illuminating to say? Does anyone at 22 years old have anything illuminating to say? Because they haven't lived yet. Plato argued that no one should even study philosophy until after age 30 just because they have not had enough life experiences. But we, in this upside-down culture, champion individuals barely out of puberty as being arbiters of wit, class, intelligence, culture. Fuck that. They are children. Where is our respect for elders, for differently abled and differently bodied people, for people who are not youthful or traditionally gorgeous, for people who have traumas and scars? Why aren't these people uplifted? Because people are skin deep in their search. They haven't cultivated an awareness that deeper things really matter. And I get the argument that a young, beautiful body is a sign of health and genetic viability and primal instincts for reproduction. I get all that. But we are more than just instinctive beings. We are more than just animals responding to what is pretty. We are thinking, feeling, soulful beings, and we need to start acting like it. So yeah, you can tell I'm tired of this. I'm tired of having to perform for a culture where the only way I can get you to stop scrolling and listen is to use my unclothed body to get you to pay attention. But don't get me wrong, I will use it. I have this body that maybe you want to pause and look at it. But hopefully, if you stop for long enough, you will also stay and listen. Because ultimately that's what we need. We need people's stories. We need their authenticity. We need their naked bits, both literally and proverbially. I show up unclothed not just to make you click, but to show you that when we reveal our full, exposed selves, that we are able to go deeper, that we're able to find deeper connection, that when we share our unvarnished truth, we can go into topics that are typically glossed over. Because life is better when we stop pretending. Life is better when we stop performing, when we let ourselves be seen fully, nakedly, with all the parts we were once told we ought to hide. And isn't life better when we do that? So perhaps you clicked because I didn't have clothes on. But hopefully you stayed because something deeper was revealed. And if so, don't stop here. Let's keep stripping things away until all we're left with is our humanity, our truth. Let's do that together. And if this is meaningful for you, please let your voice be heard. Drop a comment, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how this conversation resonates for you. They're difficult topics, but the ones I think we need to talk about.